Hello everyone, I'm 8mm Mauser Man, and I am in less of a controlled environment than usual, so you may hear some background noise, but hopefully none of it will be gunfire. Now, what I'd like to talk about today is some of my experience and some of my tips and tricks for buying a gun using listing services or buying other firearms-related items using listing services. Some of these might include Armslist, MeWe, or other things like that where people can list guns, but where the service itself doesn't necessarily sell anything. So this video is going to have a couple of disclaimers. First of all, I know the laws in my area, and I'm going to talk about the laws in my area. So if those are different than your laws in your area, don't come crying to me if you get in trouble, because I'm going to talk about and I know the laws in my area. Secondly, if your experiences do not match my experiences, feel free to tell me in the comments. However, if you follow some of my tips and tricks and it doesn't work out well for you, don't come back to me on that. That is not my liability. You are taking full responsibility for your actions or lack thereof. First of all, for my experiences. Now, I have used Armslist for some things and MeWe for a couple of things. I personally have never been scammed. I've had some people try, but nothing has ever actually happened. So I'm going to talk about first with my experiences with Armslist because I was using that platform first. The first thing that happened was I traded my Mauser, my 24-47. The way I got that was by meeting a guy on Armslist who was looking to trade it for something in 223 or 556 that was a little bit more precision capable. So I offered him my Mossberg MVP. He thought that was a good trade. I brought him my rifle. I was traveling through Nebraska, and one of the things that I like to do is when I travel, I'll look at people on those sites in different areas to see if they have something and I can take my rifle there or take what I have there or just take cash there and bring something back with me. So I was going to bring my Mossberg MVP. I brought it to Lincoln, Nebraska. We met at a gas station, which in hindsight was a little shady, meeting later at night. He had his Mauser, I had my Mossberg. We talked for a little bit, exchanged it. I left, got some ammo with it too, and I was really happy with it. One of the things that I paid attention to was, while we were talking about where we were going to meet up and that kind of thing, he said things like, my house is not far from there. Oh, I can meet it after this time because my daughter has like a dance recital or something like that. Those types of things that let you into somebody else's life, it's my experience that somebody who is trying to scam you isn't necessarily going to say things like that. If they're going to harm you, they probably won't be that detailed with what's going on in their life. So we'll pay attention to some of those things later on. But I left, got my rifle. I was actually really happy with that trade. The second situation I got myself into was with my Enfield, my Ishapore Enfield. And with that experience, the guy I was talking to was in another state. So whenever you're buying a firearm in another state through a private purchase, you need to go through an FFL dealer. Because I needed to go through an FFL dealer, we met at an FFL dealer, and this is actually one of the safest ways to do these transactions is to meet in person at an FFL. And then if you do get scammed, it is going to be because the person is not giving you what you thought you were getting. However, you're still leaving with something. Or maybe it's damaged or something like that. But this is one of the safest ways to do these types of things is to meet in an FFL. It does cost a little bit extra, but you get the extra safety. And in this case, because I was crossing state lines, it was also the legal way of going about it. So that worked really well. I paid him cash and then I left. The third situation was the PPU ammo that I reviewed on this channel. I knew I wanted to get PPU, but it wasn't available in my area. And I posted something on Armslist that I had some 223 and 556 that I was willing to trade for some PPU ammo, or really any 8mm. When I sold at Mossberg MVP, I still had some ammo for it that I did not get rid of. He was actually too far away for me to get it to him in person. However, he wanted to ship it. So I was going to ship him my 223 and 556, and then he was going to ship me 8mm. And he said he was going to put some cash in the box since it was a little bit extra. That was his choice, and what I decided was this was a little bit more of a risk than I usually would want to take, but it was little enough what I was getting rid of that if he were to scam me, I felt like the risk was worth it. I made that decision on my own. I wasn't giving him a ton of ammo, and I felt like it was a worthy risk. So that is some of the ammo that I actually used to start this channel with, and it turned out pretty well. So sometimes, even if you're taking a risk, you might decide that it's worth it. That was what I did in that situation. Now, the final one is one I was a little bit more hesitant about, although through more conversations with the person, it became clear to me that they were actually like a gun show business where they take things to gun shows and sell it. But that was where I got a whole lot of the first 8mm that I did for some of my earlier videos. And he was in Texas, so he had me send him a money order. So basically, you go to the post office and you get a money order made in somebody's name. So you give the post office cash, and then this person has to take their money order, and then when they get the money order, they take it to their bank, and then they get cash back for the money order there. So basically, the postal service has the money from me giving it to them to the other person taking it out. Now, there are two benefits there. One of them is that I can cancel the money order over time. So like, let's say the guy says it's going to be here at a certain time and it never actually arrives, I can cancel it. Now, the problem is if he cashes it before I cancel it, there's nothing I can really do there. However, the other positive side of the money order is that it needs to go to someone whose full name and address matches that on the money order. So when I send this money order to him, I have his full name and his address. So if he does cause any problems for me, I have quite a bit of information on him that can, maybe deter somebody from doing something criminal, like scamming or like attacking you or something like that. So the last two examples that I have are both done on MeWe. So MeWe is a social media platform that has become more popular recently as people have been leaving Facebook due to some problems with Facebook. And I've done two things with that. In my video on the gun show haul that I got, I referenced that I got some 8mm ammo that I thought some of it was going to be reloads, but most of it would be good. Well, it turns out most of it was sketchy, to say the least. So with that ammo, I decided it would not be safe to fire it, so I sold it off to a guy who wanted to reload it. So I actually made like $20, which was nice, but I posted on MeWe that I had it. He messaged me, and we were kind of talking about shipping, and it probably wasn't going to be worth it to ship it, but it turns out that he had family that lived not too far away from me. So while we were talking, he... like I said earlier, I like when people say things that gets personal. So we were talking, and he was saying that his mom lived there. He said what her job was, just some very specific information. So I felt comfortable bringing it straight over to her house. Talked to her for a few minutes about, like, just random, normal Midwestern things. We like to talk about our lives. And it was a really positive engagement. His mom gave me the money, I left, and then he came and picked up the ammo later. The other thing I picked up from MeWe was some 7.62 by 54R ammo that I haven't done a video on yet. Hopefully some of that will be coming soon. But I wanted to buy this 7.62 by 54R. This guy had it, so I was talking to him about it, and we just met in a town. We actually met outside of a bank. I gave him cash. He gave me the ammo. I would not recommend trading something like a gun outside of a bank, but since it was just ammo, all it was the cardboard boxes. So he gave me some cardboard boxes. I gave him some cash. I left. It was a positive encounter. Nothing bad happened. Now, I want to talk about some brief encounters with potential scammers that I've had. The first was on Armslist, and I've seen a lot of posts, especially in Florida, offering Egyptian Hakims. Now, if you don't know what a Hakim is, it's a 8mm rifle, so of course I want it. Semi-automatic, has a really strange operating system. So I've really wanted a Hakim for a while now, and I hope to get one someday. But there is a lot of those on Armslist that are selling for like $400 to $600. I think Armslist has changed some of the way that they do things, so I've seen a lot less scammers on Armslist. And so I've messaged a few of those people, and usually when I asked for more pictures, they would stop responding. I bet what they were hoping for was somebody to say, yeah, I'm going to send you money, and just, the bare bones lazy effort. Because if you ask for more pictures, then that requires that they have the gun, especially if you ask like pictures down the board, oddly specific pictures. That means that they have to actually have the gun in order to do it. Secondly, so this is another situation of if something that sounds too good to be true. Somebody had a VZ61, a Scorpion, you might know it from if you play a lot of like Call of Duty or whatever. And he was trying to sell it for, I think, $400, which is very, very low. So I thought it was worth still messaging him and seeing what was what. Again, I asked for more pictures. I asked more specific things. So there are escrow services that we will talk about later, but basically it's a service that holds the money until I actually get the product, and he refused that flat out to do that. I really didn't want to be scammed, and especially out of $400, so I just stayed away from that, and actually he got reported later. I was seeing that exact same picture of other like places, so it would be his post in one state and his post in another state from two different accounts. Just very sketchy things that were clearly him trying to scam people out of some money. I do have one more example of somebody who tried to scam me. So I was looking for a military surplus pistol in 32 ACP, or really any pistol in 32 ACP, but really something like a VZ50, VZ70, something along those lines, and I had posted it on an Armslist. and somebody messaged me saying, hey, I have the pistol you're looking for. And I said, what model? Because that's a vague idea. And they said, oh yeah, I have the military surplus 32 ACP pistol, which isn't a thing. So clearly this person was trying to scam me. I maybe entertained it for a little bit longer to screw with them. But obviously didn't end up going through that. That was an example of somebody who was so terrible at scamming that I don't think anybody would have fallen for it, but maybe if I would have been more specific with my original post, somebody might have. So again, asking for more information and an annoying amount of information can usually be a right path to make sure you don't get scammed. Now, let's talk about some of the tips. The first thing, something you've probably heard before. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And I want to emphasize the probably. So like I said, I just gave some examples of things that seemed too good to be true. All of the deals that I've had successful, they were all reasonable. They were all maybe a little lower or a little higher, but they were all in the reasonable area where it wasn't ridiculous. Now, I've had it happen, so a few different times, where something seemed too good to be true, and it actually was true. Like I said, when I travel, I like to check out the listing services in those areas. So I was traveling to another city, and I saw somebody had a Yugoslavian M48 Mauser for like $200. So this was a few years ago, but still when it was a good deal. So I messaged him asking him if he still had it. He said that he was lining up to sell it, so I told him that if he did not sell it, to get back to me, and he never got back to me. So presumably he sold it. It was a good deal, and I just didn't catch it in time. The other thing is, I was traveling again, and there was a Hakeem for like $600, and I waited and I waited and I waited, and eventually it went away. I don't think it was a scam. I think it was just somebody who was selling it for a low price. Because later I saw somebody selling that same one, but for like $400 more, at a reasonable price that it was going for. So likely what happened was somebody saw the deal, bought it, and then was trying to flip it. So if it's too good to be true, it probably is, and you need to take extreme caution. However, sometimes somebody just doesn't know what they have. Something is worth more than what somebody thinks. Second thing, don't trust people. Now, I know this is obvious. We should trust them. We should expect them to be liars. But what I mean more than that is don't trust people to know what they have. It's pretty common that when I'm at a gun show or something like that, I'll hear somebody have a bolt-action rifle and they call it a sniper. If you have an actual sniper, that makes it more expensive, makes it more valuable. Likely, this person just doesn't know that some militaries were using bolt-action rifles or maybe building them for training or whatever later into the world after semi-autos were very common. The Ishapur rifle, for example, the Spanish FR8, some other things like that. Don't take somebody's word on what they have. Do your own research. Be smart about it, and also don't trust people because some of them are liars too. Both of those things pay attention to. Try and have as many human interactions with people as possible. So I've had it happen before where I was talking to somebody and then I had a phone call with them. And I saw that they were a real person, that they spoke clear English. I mean, just like, and I'm not trying to be racist with this. I work with people who don't speak clear English and I love them and that's totally fine. But we've all gotten emails from somebody who was a prince in Kenya offering to give us millions of dollars, and the English in the article was really bad, and that's a clear sign that it's a scam. So if the person is clearly American, then that's at least one step closer to knowing that it's somebody you could have a real interaction with. But more than that, when I talked to this person, I heard their voice, they heard my voice, they knew who I was, and when we have human interactions, what that means is we're talking about like our life. I've talked before, I've said that some of the people that I've encountered, they mentioned like their family and things like that. People who mention their family are much less likely to scam you than somebody who is incredibly distant, in my personal experience. Again, your mileage may vary on that one. If possible, the best way to meet is in person and public. When it comes to meeting in person, I've seen a lot of people say that they got scammed because they were giving somebody money and expecting them to ship something, or because they were shipping something and expecting the person to send them money. The best way to do this is to meet in person. Most of my encounters have been in person, and because of that, they've been positive. Second part of this is in public. I've sold other things online before, and preferably not when you're selling guns. That might be a little sketchy, but I've had people tell me that they wanted to meet out front of a police station before. Why? Because they know that I'm not going to pull a gun on them out in front of a police station. That's just not a good idea. Police stations have cameras, and somebody will likely come outside if I were to do that. So, but meeting in public can be a good call, sometimes maybe like a church parking lot. not on a Sunday when nobody's there. But in public places where you would be seen if there was a robbery going on, but also in a place where guns might be appropriate. So I live in the Midwest. Part of living in the Midwest is if you have a gun outside of a gas station, nobody really questions it in the right setting, in the right part of town, and those types of things. Maybe if you live in a city, that might not be the safest bet. It might just be worth the extra $20 to meet at a gun store and do the transfer through a firearms licensed dealer. That's just the way it is. On top of that, while we're talking about FFLs, make sure you're doing everything the legal way. I don't know how often sting operations happen with this kind of thing, but regardless, it's just best to do it the most legal way possible. And if it costs an extra $20 to $40 to do a real transfer rather than just a in-person meetup, I mean, it's not the end of the world. Something that has saved me from several situations was asking for detailed pictures. Asking somebody to give me maybe like pictures of the receiver, pictures of any damage, pictures of any dings or wear, those types of things. Like if somebody doesn't actually physically have the gun, then they can't give you any pictures. And of course, this isn't a perfect sign because somebody might be able to find some pictures off of the internet. Somebody may be able to actually have the gun and then they'll just take pictures and send you pictures, but then never actually send you the gun. This is one more step you can add, one more complication in the process that can make you less likely to get scammed. You can still get scammed this way. The next thing is, if possible, use a gun-friendly escrow service. What an escrow service is a service where, let's say, so I'm going to assume for this analogy that I'm the buyer. Basically, I would give the escrow service the money. Then once this person sees that the escrow service has the money, they would ship me the item. When I get the item, then I tell the escrow service that it came as promised, and then the escrow service gives them the money. If somebody scams in that process, so say the person doesn't send me the gun, or I get the gun but I don't tell the escrow service that it came, then the escrow service does research and they figure out what the situation was. An example of an escrow service is PayPal. However, here's the key part. Don't use PayPal for gun-related items. PayPal, if you get scammed, might not help you because they are not 2A friendly. I've never actually had to use these services because when I tried that one time, the guy was absolutely opposed to it and I was not up to get scammed. So I don't exactly know which ones are best, but if you Google it, you can find escrow services that are interested in using guns and selling and dealing in guns. Some of them charge a flat rate of maybe $20. Others will charge a percentage of what the item is worth, or the amount of money that you're giving them. So using a gun-friendly escrow service can really help you to not get screwed over. Make sure that it's gun-friendly, though, because ones that aren't 2A friendly will not actually help you if you end up getting in trouble. So, I think that is all that I had to say in this video. If I missed anything, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I just wanted to give you a heads up that there may be a week or two in the next few weeks where I do not upload a video on Saturday. That doesn't mean I'm leaving the channel, it just means I'm running out of content to do in the meantime. So that is when this video is coming in. But all of that aside, I hope to see you guys next week. If this was helpful, comment, like, subscribe, any of those types of things. They really help me out a lot. And I will see you guys next Saturday, hopefully. Goodbye.